Hello.
Alabama touchdown. I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can see you playing football. No players up to be out the way now. I think you could have run behind you. You were going to a and I saw you watch that.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning Martin Houston.
Hi guys, I'm Mike Hot. 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show fan page on Facebook at Martin Houston Live, on YouTube, Facebook, and at Tide 109. You also can find us on X and O Sports on Facebook. All of that and more. And don't forget to give us a follow and a like at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. Be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Good morning, Joe. Welcome back, sir.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for holding it down while I was gone.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Got a lot to get to this morning. Of course, we'll end our show as we normally do on Wednesday with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. But we got a lot of conversation to get to. Continued conversation from the National Championship game, the transfer portal, and of course, Bama hoops last night. And anything else that you may want to bring to the conversation, you can get on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904, the Taco Casa hotline open for business. Let's go ahead and talk a little hoops, and then we'll spend some time on on transfer portal, of course, and then anything may want to get to from the national championship game. Let's move. Last night, disappointing loss, magnified by a disappointing loss to Missouri. Had we not, stubbed our toe at Mizzou and played Auburn, which may be the best team in the country in basketball, kind of crazy to think. They're long, they're lean, they're athletic, they're deep, they can shoot, they block shots, they play great defense. I think they have the nation's longest, tied for the nation's longest win streak now, with the loss of Baylor and USC going down last night. Only remaining two undefeateds both went down last night. So, Alabama basketball, how you feeling now? How you feeling? A couple weeks ago, over a couple weeks ago, we thought, man, this may be a team that could make a run, get to a Final Four. Whoo! How you feeling now in terms of that team? So I'll toss it to you, X. How you feeling about this basketball team?
Man, this basketball team this year has been like riding the waves, the highs and the lows for sure. We're struggling to shoot the basketball. especially as a 3-point team. You know, it's not the same, but you think of a team like the Golden State Warriors, and they're live by die by the 3-point team. And now that Klay Thompson is back now, you know, if him and Steph are having bad night shooting, that normally bodes bad for the Warriors as a whole. And that's what you've seen. You know, the top two guys that we have are Quinterly and Shackelford, and they were a combined 4 for 18 from three last night. Keon Ellis was 1 for 4. So, you know, we're not shooting effectively. And then when we're not shooting effectively from the outside, it can just the inside for guys like Gurley and Gary. That's where they dominate.
And if you watched last night's game, I was kind of in and out and had some stuff to take care of with the church, and so I didn't get to see. Didn't get to see visually the beginning of the game, and listen to some of it, and then did catch things late. And man, what a run to get back in the game, tied up, and then back and forth tie. But it was like when we were chasing, we were so consistent. We took good shots. We were 4 for 22, and then we were 3 for 3, and then we came down once we tied the game up. It was like we lost our mind. We took some bad shots. We rushed some shots, and I know that. Tell me that you can't play defense all night and it plays defense for you. And what I'm talking about is when Quinley had that 3 in the corner and he didn't take it late in the game. I know it wasn't a perfect pass, but he got to get that ball off. He got to get that shot up. Or don't. It's okay to take a 15-foot shot, especially when you have shot blockers like Auburn. Quinterly, first of all, the guy runs by him, and all he has to do is take the 3. I think he could have took the 3 in the beginning, corner 3. Then when the guy runs by him, I think he could have took the 3. He drives all the way in.
Yeah.
And then he loses the ball.
It was a bad sequence. It was a bad sequence. Every like you said, you got it. If you don't feel comfortable, guy blows by, you got it again. And then pull up. That's all you have to do. If you miss that shot, that's one thing. But driving it in there where it's already congested, it just didn't make sense at that point.
And Virgil Williams saying Quinterly needs some time on the bench. He's not playing well, in my opinion. Does some things great, then makes several plays that looks like a high schooler. We've got to get more aggressive on rebounding. I agree with that sentiment. Go ahead.
Well, you know how we talked about early in the football season, Henry Toto was trying to do too much. That's what it's a very similar thing with Quinterly. He's trying to do too much at times. He'll make great plays, and then he's like, well, what was that? Where did that come from? He needs to be more trusting of the other 4 guys on the court to make plays, make shots. Because 4 for 19, 2 from 10, that's not going to win you ball games, especially in a competitive conference.
Yeah, and especially against that Auburn team. C.J. Watson says Bama has issues, but I'll say this with a green emoji face, Auburn is good, real good, like better than that Final 14 good puke emoji. That's C.J. Watson's comments. But when you watch that, you know, to me, J.D. Davison seems to be maturing. His last couple of games, his last 3 games, his turnovers are way down. The last 2, virtually no turnovers in the last 2 games. But we took him out and put Quinterly back in. I mean, I didn't understand why Davison wasn't in. To me, he was a guy that I would have went down the stretch with because he was breaking down the Auburn defense and getting the ball to the right guys. And he wasn't in down the stretch. And then he has that energy that I love to see. Hustle plays, etc. So
he's a spark plug.
yeah, yeah, and like I said, if this loss was coming off of a game we should have won against Missouri, where we were a 13-point favorite, they were undermanned, and we just laid an egg, you wouldn't be upset with the effort Bama played, because that Auburn team, like I said, they might be the one. They're definitely one of the top 4 teams, and they're only going to get better, I think, which is scary to think about from a hoop standpoint. Jabari Smith he's special. But I mean, when you block the number of shots and change the number of possessions, and then you can get out and shoot threes, and your 3-point shooting is consistent, it's really, really, um, you know, yeah, it's very interesting. Any other thoughts or comments?
I mean, when you look at it, Alabama has to figure out what the problem is and address it. They know they're a 3-point shooting team, so they have to shoot better. But if you're just going to be jacking up a shot because that's what you do, you're only hurting your team. I think we have to feed the guys, Gurley and Gary, a little bit more inside to bring those guys on the perimeter back in to open it up for more clean shots for guys like Quinterly and Shackelford, who are struggling from shooting for the 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If this team gets back hot and gets back to shooting the ball the way they were shooting early, Bama's going to be fine. This team is still, I think, a talented team. They don't have consistency. They don't have consistent leadership yet. And so, it just hurts. They're going to have to be more consistent. Jet Cohen said the style we run, if our guards can't attack the rim and score or hit 3-pointers, we struggle to win. Oates needs to run more plays for ISO on the post. And that's the thing. Right now, the shooting is you would say was off, but it's almost to the point where you like, have they figured out how to defense it? Because it's been off for about 6 weeks. 6 games. So is it off, or they've just learned how to defend it, and we're not good at shooting contested threes? I'm not sure which one it is. Joe, you have any comments or anything on basketball before we transition in the second quarter?
I'm just disappointed with not only the last couple of games, but just it seems like the defensive effort may not be there. I listened to the game as I was driving. I got home with about 2 minutes left in the game, and so I heard. Actually, I listened to the Auburn call in the first half and the Alabama call in the second half, and it just seemed like Alabama's defensive effort is not quite there. And I'm with you, Xavier, about you got to take that pull up 3 for JQ in the corner. You have to get that shot away. And I'm with you, Martin. It sounded like the last 2 or 3 minutes after they tied it at 73, they just kind of lost their heads. I'm kind of underwhelmed, a little disappointed. I'm a little bit watching this basketball season, kind of still trying to figure out what this team wants to be.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a mixed bag, Joe. Alabama playing that well against a 14-1 or 15-1 Auburn team. Forget the name on the jersey, but a 15-1 top 4 team, having a win over Gonzaga, having a win over Houston, typically would have you going, okay, all right, Bama, but instead, because of the expectation and what I believe, lines up on that bench for the Crimson Tide, it is disappointing so far. But if the shots start falling, this team can get going. But to all of our points, I think the effort, the consistency, and the hustle, especially from the defensive end, I think triggers their offense. And we're in the defense, for whatever reason, since Gonzaga has been trending downward versus upward. And so we'll see if Nate Oates can get that fixed. Coming back on the other side, hey, we got some interesting conversation. Bama guys in the portal. The guys named so far, maybe some others since the last time I saw the list. If you guys have some, you can add it to it. But which one of those guys you think is going to sting the most so far? We'll talk about that and more right here on the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a wreck and vehicle fire has closed a section of 2059 eastbound between Bolachi and Utah. Traffic is being diverted onto US 11. You can expect delays. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Come on into Townsend Nissan for a great selection, low finance rates, and get top dollar for your trade. I'm Captain Ray.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey Culligan, I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Every home is unique. That's why I, the Orkin man, rely on science.
Bob, Orkin is here.
Hi, we have a rodent problem.
Rodents do like to find a comfortable home, and even if you get rid of them once, they're great at finding their way back in.
Mom, soda.
Especially if there's a good source of food.
And a slice of pizza.
But using the latest research and exclusion techniques, I'll customize a treatment for your home that'll send them packing.
Don't forget the ranch this time.
Were you still talking about rodents?
Orkin, pest control down to a science. Visit Orkin.com for a free estimate.
With the new law, more people qualify for financial assistance at healthcare.gov. Real customers like Taylor.
You know, I wish people knew how easy it was to get health coverage. This new law has made it so affordable. I'm only paying $52 a month, but there are quality plans for even less.
New law, lower prices, more people qualify. Enroll by January 15th at healthcare.gov.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another beautiful winter day today with a good supply of sunshine. Tuscaloosa's high 57. Clear tonight, the low at 37. Tomorrow and Friday, partially sunny both days. The high tomorrow 58, the high Friday in the middle 50s and 54. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 29 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Right now.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Don't forget, and we have great sponsors that make this all possible. Thanks to the great folks over at Overflow Express Wash. Andy Phillips and his team do a great job helping you keep your car clean inside and out. You can go to Overflow Express Wash, overflowexpresswash.com. As we wrap up the basketball conversation, had a couple guys that made a couple comments. So let me get that. CJ Watson saying one of the biggest issues I've seen with this team since Houston is guys don't seem to know their roles. It's like guys are more capable at everything than previous Bama teams, but it's like guys are waiting to see who will have the hot hand, and then waiting to see who's feeling like being aggressive. Leadership is an issue. And Virgil Williams saying the one I really hate to see go is Tyson, and probably just because of who he is. That's a football question, so we're going to hold that comment over. Cynthia Harris asked the question: can we start recruiting more in our backyard? Can we get more recruiting in our own backyard? Preparation meets opportunity. Um, mm, um, Curtis, I can't use all the words that Curtis Lewis said there, but Auburn is just blank good. Yeah, Auburn is.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that Auburn team may be the best in the country.
Speaking to what Cynthia said real quick, we are. JD's an in-state kid. Brandon Miller, who we've got signed in this class, he's an Alabama legacy. That, to me, I would consider that backyard. You've got the Phillips kid up near Gaston. That's, once again, he's a legacy. He's a in-state kid. I feel like we are getting the best talent, because for so long the best talent was leaving. You go back and look in my class, that was DeMarcus Cousins and Eric Bledsoe, going to Kentucky. We're getting those guys now.
Yeah, and I think part of what happens is the more success Alabama has, the more national the brand is going to become, and that's what you're seeing. And I mean, I'm not being ugly to Alabama basketball. Alabama basketball isn't going to be a national contender. And Joe, you can speak to this. That Auburn Tiger team isn't stacked with Alabama kids like the Auburn football team.
Yeah.
That Auburn brand. Now, I think that he does a great job in the Atlanta, Georgia area finding superstars, and then he does a good job talking about Bruce Pearl getting a transfer here or there. That has made that team really good, man. But they're long and they're lean, they're athletic, and they just close space off. It's like guys are open. Like that last shot Cornerly took, that guy waited and baited him into taking that shot. But anyway, it is interesting. Speaking of the transfer portal, we'll get your thoughts there. We'll go ahead and get Virgil Williams' thoughts on the transfer portal, and we'll list off the guys there. Make sure if I forget anybody, y'all help me out. But King Makuta, outside linebacker, gone. Drew Sanders, outside linebacker, gone. Paul Tyson, backup quarterback, gone. Jaleel Billingsley, tight end, was expected to be tight end extraordinaire, gone. And I'm drawing a blank.
Tommy Brown.
And Tommy Brown, offensive lineman, and he's has some legacy. Alabama legacy. His dad was on the track team. He's a California kid though, so don't be surprised if he ends up back at USC or somewhere like that. And of those five, I'm not sure if there's anyone else that's jumped in the portal since yesterday.
I haven't seen anything.
But those five guys heading out, we'll get your thoughts here. Virgil Williams getting his thoughts in. He says the one I really hate to see go is Tyson, and probably just because of who he is, but I totally understand it. I think he can play and needs the right team. The rest really doesn't bother me. The head scratcher is Billingsley because he was a player getting his chances, but just wasn't in the game head-wise. So not really thinking we are losing anything. Hope they all go somewhere and have great careers. I'll let you guys go first. Which one of those guys, X jumps off the board and you're like, man, we love to get him back in the fold?
Drew Sanders. Dallas Turner had a great freshman season, but the only reason he's still not here and wasn't the starter is because of the only reason Dallas got the opportunity is because two guys got hurt, and Drew was one of them. And I don't know if Drew is necessarily the pass rusher that Dallas is, but to me, he was a better run stop guy, and he was pretty good in coverage. So it allowed Alabama to look at Will Anderson and just say, "Go get the quarterback for a stretch."
Yeah.
But him, and then of course Paul Tyson. He's Bear Bryant's great grandson. I thought he would at least be here till he graduated.
He did. He
might
graduated.
be.
He graduated.
So he did. He did.
That's what
Okay.
That's what they reported. I mean, I don't know, but
Well, I mean, he came here, he got his education, which is the most important thing. And I agree with Virgil. If he goes to the right team, he could be good. To me, talent wise, he's at least as good or better than any guy that we had pre Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
He just came after Alabama started recruiting quarterbacks at an extremely high level.
Yeah, I think that Paul Tyson. I think that Paul Tyson is a guy who could play here in the right system, and I think he's probably everybody's sentimental pick. And so I think that's why people are saying they wish he hadn't left. Joe, I'll let you come in, then I'll make some comments and add to the conversation.
Yeah, I'm with the X right there. The Drew Sanders kind of stings. The rest of the guys, fringe players, not really, not really vital. I think to the greater the greater plan, the greater outlook for the program. But Drew Sanders, I think could have found a role, especially now with what you see with Billingsley. He could have become the next Campbell too, flipping over the offensive end and playing a little tight end. But I think the other four guys, you shake their hands, you wish them well, you thank them, and good luck in the future, guys.
Yeah, and I will say this. Go ahead, X.
And the reason I think Drew could be the biggest loss outside of not, even though he wasn't going to be a starter, is because of where he could end up. Yeah, we could be seeing Drew Sanders at some point next year. He's a Texas kid. His original recruiter is at Texas, and he could also end up at Texas A&M. That's why I think he's the biggest loss, because he can have the biggest impact against Alabama.
I think, first of all, he decommitted from Oklahoma, so that's another potential landing place, especially with Coach Valai going there. So don't think that doesn't happen and potentially have something to do with it as well. Speaking of Coach Jay Valai, who co-defense coordinator that headed off to Oklahoma. So don't be surprised by that. And I use this example not because of their skin color, but because to me, I think he has the potential to be this type of player. I look at Drew Sanders and see him in that same category as TJ Watts and Bosa and not Nick, but Joey. He's long, he's lean, he is extremely athletic. And Curtis Lewis said the only reason Drew played because Allen went down. Well, that's the only reason Dallas Turner played. Okay, I mean, because both went down. So I don't knock a kid for not being able to be the starter at the beginning of the year. I think Drew Sanders would have been a dominant player in a different way, like Dallas Turner became a dominant player. Dallas Turner is extremely talented, extremely high ceiling, but Dallas Turner also benefited from the fact that he played across from, on the other side and opposite from, the number one player in the country in Will Anderson. And I think Drew would have gotten to that same level in a different way. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I don't think that he's necessarily the pass rusher that he is. But to your point, I think if you look at that, two guys, first of all, we're not saying Billingsley because we're disgusted or upset or disappointed with Billingsley, okay? But the reality of it is, guys, we're losing a guy who was probably, if he had did his thing in this offense with the quarterback he was playing from, he could have been a late first round type of mismatch guy, or early second round draft pick this year. But he something happened. He got in the doghouse. So I'm not gonna knock that losing that type of talent is huge, because who do we have coming back at that position?
Latu.
And who's to say that Latu won't get in Latu's head and tell him to leave? I don't think he will. I think he'll come back and build off of this season. But who else we got at tight end? Remember, we were signing 3 tight ends this year, and one of the ones that we thought would come in and play immediately is where? At Miami. So that will hurt from a depth standpoint. Drew hurts from a, I think, potential standpoint of where his upside is. What do we had happen every year? What do we think happens every year? When was the last time we didn't lose an outside linebacker?
It's been a while.
Okay, so Sanders is the one. He's the one that I'm concerned about, and the fact that he could end up going to one of the teams that's on our schedule, or that we may have to face down the stretch, and he will be a wrecking crew. I think the kid, and Joe even mentioned it about him being able to even switch over to tight end, because that's what he played. He was an all-world athlete, everything in high school. So it's several different guys in there. Curtis Lewis said he thinks Billings is the biggest loss. And like I said, I think we're looking at Billingsley because we're frustrated.
I look at Billingsley because I think I discount his loss because he created the situation for himself. It's not his talent. As far as talent and what all of these guys have done at Alabama, Billingsley takes the cake.
Right.
But he created the situation that led to a bad season that's leading to him transferring.
Yeah.
Drew got hurt. He can't help that.
Right.
Tommy and King, they're just more talent. There's more talented guys in front of them. Paul, more talented guys in front of them. Jaleel was supposed to be Irv Smith, O.J. Howard.
No, he was supposed to be better than those guys.
Yeah, better. I mean, but he was supposed to take that type of role, and he fumbled the bag. And so that's why I discount his loss, because he created it. He created the situation for himself instead of taking advantage of it.
But if this wasn't transfer portal world, Nick Saban would be rehabbing that relationship for a great 2022. But in this world, it is definitely a big time thing. And Curtis Lewis says, definitely not worried about Sanders showing up against us as a linebacker. Hey, he may or may not, but I'm telling you, Drew Sanders is a talented football player.
I don't want to put him.
And he may not,
or as a tight end.
Well, but he may not do anything. You never know what happens when guys change. You don't ever know what happens when guys leave. But I'm telling you, if Drew Sanders was standing in the Bama huddle next year, I would not be disappointed. So he's a guy that I think can help this team win and win at a high level. And somewhere down the road, because the reality of it is he still has 3 seasons left, and he's going to be a difference maker if he does and progresses. He has to progress. So we can keep talking about transfer portal when we come back on the other side. We can also go back and flash back a little bit on the game. A couple things jump out there. And we'll get an update on Bama Nation as we see it. That conversation and more right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a wreck and vehicle fire has closed a section of 2059 eastbound between Bolachi and Utah. Traffic is being diverted onto US 11. You can expect delays. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Come on into Townsend Nissan for a great selection, low finance rates, and get top dollar for your trade. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
So you finally got your credit score up to 700. You're feeling good, about to get a new credit card with rewards. You apply and, ooh, it's not approved. And that knocks your score right out of the 700 club. There's a better way. Next time, go to Credit Karma and check out your approval odds first so you can find a card you're more likely to get approved for. And with over 100 million members, there are plenty of reviews to help you choose. Get your free credit scores and find the right card for you at Credit Karma. Approval not guaranteed, subject to checks.
Van the Bootman here inviting you to check out Irvin's new fall arrivals from Wrangler, Ariat, Carhartt & Co. You'll find locally owned, friendly service, low prices, and one of the best selections around. Irvin's also has a great selection of boots for men, women, and children, along with a nice selection of drastically marked down boots and shoes for men and women. I do want to let all of our Irvin's loyal customers know that we're currently experiencing delayed shipments on boots, bottoms, and shirts. So shop now for the best selection. As always, thank you for your support, and remember to tell them Van the Bootman sent you.
Your friends at BMW of Tuscaloosa are thankful for a great 2021. Our commitment for the future is to make 2022 an even greater year for our employees, friends, and customers. We're proud to be the exclusive West Alabama home of the incomparable BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Plus, an all-star lineup of pre-owned BMWs and other specially selected used automobiles. Whether what drives you is prestige, performance, dependability, or easy payments, get more bang for your buck at BMW of Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide Roll.
You hear a lot today about the Bama factor. Well, what exactly is it? It's a saying that Coach Saban uses constantly. It's actually what the program is built on: commitment, discipline, effort, toughness, and pride. Well, at Dex Imaging, we believe in these same principles to be the very best we can be day in and day out. So for all of your business office solutions, put Dex Imaging to work for you. Dex Imaging, the official copier and printer provider of Alabama Athletics.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com, that's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Real quick, Curtis Lewis said, definitely not worried about Sanders showing up against us as a linebacker. How many guys outside of Kamara transferred and became better or even hurt us on the field? My response to that,
Jalen Hurts. We just didn't play him.
Yeah, well, I also think that this transfer portal is different. The guys who were transferring before were guys who couldn't get on the field here. Guys who were not potential starters or guys who had not played a lot. Now with this transfer portal, you have guys who have 3 years left. If there was no transfer portal, Drew Sanders battles out next year to try to win the job. because he didn't want to go sit for a year somewhere else and then try to battle out for a job. Now he gets to transfer and he's immediately eligible. Billingsley doesn't leave Alabama most likely. So, and I think Billingsley falls in that same category. Billings could go somewhere else and just come back and play against us. If he ends up at, one of these other schools, he could be the weapon that we thought he was against us. So that'll be interesting to watch. We got a couple quick calls we got to get to before we get to Scotty. So let's interact with Chuck Hunt. You're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hello, how are you all doing? I know you all were talking earlier about your basketball. Back when you were in school, brother, Houston guys from my area, I was telling you about Winsboro, Louisiana. Back when you were in school, Belvin Cheatham, I know he played at Alabama back during that time. And I saw some of that game last night. And I see you all were talking about the transfer portal. Just had that discussion. A guy that had a radio talk show was down in New Orleans. I had to talk with him yesterday about that portal. And that's what we were saying now, that what's happening, that's what these coaches are doing now. It seems like that's what they're doing. They're recruiting now through that portal. And they said just go out, they don't go out and just getting guys out of high school now. They're getting a lot of them using that portal. That's what's happening with, I can tell you, school, Jackson State with Deion Sanders and school 33 miles west of me, Grambling. My parents' alma mater, Hugh Jackson, former NFL head coach, he coach at Grambling, he's using that transfer portal real well. He's getting a lot of them coming in. A guy, a quarterback from UCLA, and it's just many others just coming in, and that portal. I just wonder, they're doing that, and what happens? Somebody's going to be left out there, and there's some they think about guys coming out of high school, probably who are some of the best ball players out there who get unnoticed. They're going to end up going to. They might end up going to some of the Division II programs or something. That can happen and become successful.
Yeah, I think that Hank South has told us that that's Coach Saban's philosophy. That he's going into the portal. I think we're going into the portal without a doubt to find an offensive left tackle. We may have some guys that can do it, but I would not be surprised if Nick Saban is not trying to find one that has some experience, almost like a JUCO type of guy to come in like we used to do. Wow. We did that a couple times before in the past. And then also, you're right. There's a lot of talented guys getting there, but some guys like a Billingsley could end up at a bigger program, but he could also end up being poisoned because everybody knows what his potential was and is he a head case. So it'll be interesting to see. Thanks, Chuck, for bringing up that. And yes, also Melvin Cheatham was one of my classmates, schoolmates here in back in the day in the Platt Palace under Wimp Sanderson. Yeah. Thanks, sir. Go ahead. Real quick. I got to get to one more call before we get to break. Go ahead. Oh, okay. That's okay. All right. Robert from Mobile, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, man. Yeah, the minute Curtis said, we players, every stuff Alabama, and they did the first one I thought of, too. Hey, what Thursday hurt,
Do what now?
There's Jalen Hurts, when he said what players left Alabama and did well after he left.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hurts is the most biggest one to come time. It's always been a regret. Well, heck, okay, so it could have been developed to an NFL player. We just didn't do it. So that's a black mark on the program that they cannot develop Jalen Hurts to the next level. But it happens. Billingsley, I think, is the biggest disappointment with the transfer portal. And I mean, you can never put your finger on why it's not working with Billingsley.
Yeah.
Because with Mac Jones, he looks like, hey, he's the next great one up. And then this season comes along and something falls off a cliff, and you just can never put your finger on it. But even before the season started, something fell off the cliff.
Yeah, especially considering you have a young quarterback, and most young quarterbacks, tight ends are their a new quarterback's best friend because they're generally in the middle of the field and that type of thing, and that's the key.
Yeah, and then the championship game performance was, a little less than inspired at times. It's like, are you really giving, everything you got or even half of what you got. On some of those plays, it looked like we weren't even getting half. And that was really disappointing. But, okay, let's see what you do in the transfer portal with another team. It can happen.
Yeah.
Drew Sanders is kind of puzzling. It seemed like, hey, you just put a little more effort to get more shots. You get your shots, dude. Why do you want to go somewhere else?
I think he was a late flip, number one, from Oklahoma, and I think it's just that I don't think he feels like he did anything to lose the job once it became his, other than get hurt, and he never, from what we saw, he never got a chance to win it back. I'm just talking about from a player standpoint, and And hey, Robert, we don't know what these young men are hearing and what's in their head. You're better than this. You should be playing. He can't do this, and you can do that. And then the other part is he may just want to go back home. I mean, he may want to be closer to home. He may want to be closer to the family. It could be a lot of reasons. And now there's no barrier. I personally, Robert, can tell you there were times that I wanted to quit. You know why I didn't?
Was it because you couldn't?
No, because I had to go sit down and talk to Coach Stallings. And by the time I worked up the courage to go sit down and tell him I wanted to leave, whatever was bothering me would have subsided. Where now, when these guys get a hot head or they decide they want to leave, they just let the coaches know, hey, I'm gone. I don't have to ask for Coach Saban's permission to transfer. He doesn't have to release me. I can tell him I'm leaving. And that's a difference. You know what I mean? Like asking to leave versus getting permission. Telling someone to leave versus getting permission to leave. I think that hurdle is gone. And the fact that I would not have had to sit out a year and I could go to the same level and continuously play. So, hey, we got to get ready to get the break here, but go ahead. I'll give you the final thoughts.
Yeah, that was one of the things Nick Saban has been talking about. And what him and Kirby Smart talking about with the name, image, and likeness. They're right about it. Need to be maybe some kind of regulation, because it's going to turn into, the same teams all the time with the ones with the most money that can attract the players. And it's, they'll curtail it somehow. That's just what how it's going to be.
Well, that's what it's been anyway, though, right?
Yeah, that's nothing new.
Yeah,
they just been putting it in facilities versus into the players, but being creative in this name, image, and likeness world is going to be a tough situation. It can get out of hand. I got to get the break here, but thanks, man. Appreciate you, Robert. Hey, and on Facebook, we had someone. Jed Cohen said we only signed one tight end in this class. Looking at next year so far, it looks like no tight ends are looking at Bama. Hope this change. Actually, we signed two tight ends. Elijah Brown listed as a tight end, and Amari Nyblack, even he's listed as an athlete, but he was signed as a tight end. Now, whether he plays tight end is not another story.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that on tomorrow. We got to get the break. We got Scotty Hollins coming up next right here on the Martin Houston Show, the Johnson Marshall Dentistry Christian Moment of the Week.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a wreck and vehicle fire has closed a section of 2059 eastbound between Bolachi and Utah. Traffic is being diverted onto US 11 and other wrecks 2059 westbound at exit 89 and US 11 at Vance Blockton Road. Come on into Townsend Nissan for a great selection, low finance rates, and get top dollar for your trade. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. Governor Ivey gave a positive, upbeat State of the State address at the Capitol last night. She called her agenda for the new year and bold vision for the future of Alabama. It includes a 4% pay raise for state employees and raises for public safety workers. After Ivey's address, Greensboro State Senator Bobby Singleton gave the Democrat response. While he agreed with her, he did say there are other issues that need bipartisan work. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Work is a part of all of us. We know that the world around us has changed, and that's why the Alabama Department of Labor is here to get you back to working hard. Work is a part of all of us. Let us help you get back to it. by visiting your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the USDOL, ETA, and Federal WIOA and Equal Opportunity Employer Program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deidre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey, Culligan. I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. We got Scotty Hollins joining us this morning with Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. Glad to have you. I'll toss it to you to encourage us how to incorporate our faith into the boardroom, classroom, or our chosen field of play.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm starting a series. I started last week. We're calling it First Things First. Beginning of the year, everybody's making New Year's resolutions. Again, first things first, building a firm foundation for your life. So we talked about last week, just kind of the 6 weeks that we will be covering over next little while, and 6 different topics, I should say, that we'll be covering over the next 6 weeks. And so I want to start off by just saying, hey, the most important decision that you will ever make is accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And so, I've gone into detail about that and just kind of what that looks like. It's understanding that God loves you, has a plan for your life. Your sin separates you from God, and that Jesus Christ is the only thing that God has provided to cover those sins. And the simple thing is making a decision to accept Him. Well, once you do that, here's I guess building block number one as you think about building a firm foundation for your life. Looking at Christ has to be stumbling the center of your life. Christ has to be the center of your life. And so the verse that really encourages me about Christ being the center of our lives is Romans 12:1. Here's what it says. It says, I urge you, brothers, this is Paul talking to the church at Rome. He says, I urge you, brothers, and they were Christians. So he's talking to Christians. He says, I urge you, brothers, he says, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, totally and pleasing to God. This is your reasonable act of worship. I got 3 minutes to give you a 30-minute sermon. Let me go. All right, here we go. So he says, I urge you, brothers. Urge, basically, sense of urgency. You get that? I urge you, brothers. He says, in view of God's mercy. Mercy, and they were talking about in view of the mercy that God had shown to them. Here's what mercy is. Mercy is when God doesn't give us punishment that we rightfully deserve. Grace is when God actually gives us something that we don't deserve. And so they had experienced a lot of grace, and they had experienced a lot of mercy. Okay? And so Paul is saying, let that mercy, the fact that you haven't been given the punishment you rightfully deserve. What is that punishment? You deserve, well, I think we all know. He says, since you haven't been given that punishment, here's what you should be motivated to do. He says, offer your bodies as living sacrifice. You know, it's living sacrifices. He says, holy and pleasing to God, this is your reason why I have to worship. When you think about a living sacrifice, I'm going to jump to the point just because of the sake of time. A living sacrifice is an oxymoron, sort of like jumbo shrimp. Shrimp is little. Jumbo is big. But if you got jumbo shrimp, that's kind of an oxymoron. Living sacrifice, best way I can put it, is before we accepted Christ, we were on the throne of our lives. When you accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, and guess what? All of these people that Paul was talking to in this passage had accepted Jesus Christ. All of them. They were believers. And here's what he's saying. When you accept him, he says, Offer your body as a living sacrifice. Guess what? Before you accepted Christ, you were on the throne of your life, meaning you were calling the shots. Your life was all about you. You did what you wanted to, when you wanted to, how you wanted to, feeling some more wants to. But here's the thing. He says, when you accept Jesus Christ, he says, you need to surrender that throne. Well, guess what? All of these guys had surrendered the throne. Why? Because they were believers. They had already surrendered the throne. Paul was telling them to live life off of it. Sometimes as believers, even though we've surrendered the throne, air quote, our lives don't look like we surrendered the throne. And so if you want to, I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet. Hey, you need a little help. How do I live life off the throne, Scotty? I'm glad you asked. I need some help too. Here, you live your life off the throne, and as you live your life off the throne, you're living your life in submission to Christ being the center of your life. But here it is. Here's how you do it. You live your life answering one question. You ready for the question? The question is, what would Jesus do? When you live your life, answer the question, what would Jesus do? And you do that, guess what? You are living your life off the throne. And you are following him and submitting to him. Here's what I want to, I've told you, as we talk about first things first, building a firm foundation for your life, we talk about developing habits that will develop you. Here's the habit. Before you make every decision, ask yourself, what would Jesus do? If you don't know, get in the book and figure out what he would do in that situation. And I'm telling you, that's going to be building a firm foundation for your life.
That was awesome. That's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Quick takeaways. Jesus is to be the center. He's not to be first. He's to be the center. If he's first, he can be last. If he's the center, he touches everything. Also, remember this. What living sacrifice. Let me tell you, living dead man. Dead men don't have opinions. Dead men don't have opinions. And then last but not least, the reason you ask what would Jesus do is you're getting the opinion of the one you're living for. So you're dead. He's alive. You're living for him. Asking what would he do in each situation. So, all right, that's Scotty Hollins, the Executive Director. Tell them real quick where they can find you, Scotty.
Absolutely. www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You send it to, give me a message there and come straight to my email.
All right. Awesome. Hey, listen, we watched the football team the other night that was full of guys making sacrifices for themselves, for the betterment of themselves and their teammates. What would happen if we were to start living with that same level of living sacrifice for the body of Christ? We'd be national champions too. All right. Thanks, Scotty. We'll catch up with you, man.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, X, good to see you. We'll be back with you again. Appreciate you, man. Have a blessed day. Yes, Roll Tide. Signing off. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. All your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide. Have a blessed day. For all the caller listeners, guests, and interviewers, and all of you, thank you so much for what you mean to the Martin Houston Show. We'll see you on tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9.
You too, Joe. Thanks, man.